Some of you may have not been around for the very first message, but we said that kids have two primary needs: significance and security. We said that the way they feel significant is when we love them, we affirm them, we treat them as special, we value them regardless of their behavior. We said the way they experience security is we set very clear boundaries and we're consistent and enforce them. Isn't it interesting when someone does a sociological study over time with thousands of parents and teenagers, they find, aha, what produces great kids with great coping skills, with high self-esteem, that make their own decisions, are parents that are high on love and high on discipline. Anytime from Scripture we have God parenting us as His spiritual children and giving us clear guidelines about what discipline is, why it matters, and how to do it, we ought to pay attention. But God disciplines us for our good, that we may share in His holiness. God disciplines us for our good, that we might share in His holiness. There's a clear target on the wall. He wants to make us like His Son. He wants to make us like Christ. He wants to make us whole. He wants to bring out the best in our life and through our life. Discipline is teaching obedience to God. Why? And His Word, so your kids get the very best. How do you do it? Through consistent actions, through clear instruction in an atmosphere of love. And so, well, why? The necessity of discipline is to deter destruction. Undisciplined children of God, they destroy themselves. So we're talking about a pretty serious topic. You want your kids to have self-discipline, to learn to say no to short-term attraction and endure short-term pain to get long-term gain. And everything in you wants to give them what they want instead of what they need because it brings initial peace for the moment. So most of us are willing to trade short-term peace for long-term pain. But what a parent does and what God does is He teaches us to endure short-term pain to get long-term gain. Listen carefully. You need to be willing to be a jerk and say, you can't date that boy. You can't date that girl. You can't go to that movie. I love you too much. No, we're not going to play 3 different sports and have our whole family in a minivan every night because everyone else gets to. No, this is what we're going to do. Yes, tell you what, we're going to sit around the table and you can roll your eyes as much as you want, but we're going to eat together and I want to hear what's going on. You don't have to have your heart in it, but we're going to join hands and we're going to pray for one another, and you cause them to have some short-term pain because you're the parent. And what you know is it doesn't matter whether they like you or slam the door or roll their eyes today, but you want them 10 years later looking back and saying, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. We have developed a society that you want to be your kid's little buddy and you never want to feel rejected, and it's all about keeping the peace instead of making peace. They have plenty of friends and plenty of buddies. Be willing to be a jerk for a season if need be, to give them what they need instead of what they want. Consistent consequences go something like this. Proverbs 13:24 says, "He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him diligently." Think of that. If you spare the rod, consistent action, not talk, you hate your child. Why? Because God says, if you loved him, you would give him what he needs instead of what he wants. He goes on to say, folly is bound up in the heart of a child. Every kid's like this. But the rod of discipline, action, will drive it far from him. Well, actions is one thing, but then words. Say what you mean, say it clearly, say it firmly, and if you don't mean it, then don't say it. But all I can do is set a boundary over here and say, you know what, in our house, you can't treat people that way, and over here, no matter what you do, I'm going to love you. And is it hard? It's excruciatingly hard. All discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful but sorrowful, but after they've been trained by it, it yields a peaceful fruit of righteousness.